The universe operates with an unfailing, elegant rhythm. It doesn't need drama or noise. It simply observes and, with perfect timing, adjusts the scales. There's a cosmic equilibrium governing all things, irrespective of human belief. You can't try to extinguish someone else's light without losing your own footing in the process. Those who orchestrated your potential downfall are now ensnared by the very traps they meticulously prepared for you. This is the simple, profound truth. Chosen ones don't merely weather the sabotage. They use it as fuel for a higher evolution. The individuals who engaged in gossip, who harbored doubt, and who secretly yearned for your failure overlooked a single, immutable law. The universe possesses a perfect memory. When it finally decides to act, its movements are calibrated to silence your detractors with an authority no mere words could ever match. Let this principle anchor itself deep within your consciousness. Your current radiance was forged in absolute fire, and your strategic silence proved far more potent than their collective noise. Their intense focus on your life ultimately became their own undoing and punishment. The influence of a truly chosen person isn't loud. It is an omnipresent force that lingers, subtly rewriting the fabric of your shared reality. If you are among the rare souls who walked through the crucible of a storm and emerged with an undeniable glow, then you are precisely where you need to be. Like and subscribe right now, because we're about to decode the mysteries of inherent power, unshakable presence, and the profound spiritual development that strips your enemies of sleep. Your ascent is not a future event you're waiting for. It is a transformation that is already unfolding. The cosmos is currently reorchestrating itself to align entirely in your favor. A deep, fundamental change is taking place within you, and here is the most captivating part. They can sense it. Even if their conscious minds struggle to grasp the how or why, your newly grounded presence registers with them as an energy far louder than their judgments. Your mastery of silence is manifesting as a power far beyond their comprehension of noise. The rearrangement of energy around you has commenced, making your environment increasingly supportive of your path. Before we delve deeper into the mechanics of this faltering shift, take a moment to intentionally claim this truth. Hit that like button to anchor the immense power awakening within your spirit. Subscribe now so that this vital message finds every other deserving soul on a similar journey. And, as a final energetic seal, type 99 in the comments to send a concentrated surge of intention through this entire conversation. Those observing you closely already understand this isn't just arbitrary content, it's definitive confirmation of your destiny. Stay fully present until the final word, because the very glow-up they tried so desperately to halt is your ultimate triumph. Your personal energy is communicating a narrative far louder than any verbal explanation you could offer. They may not be able to articulate what they are feeling, but the effect of your aura is undeniable. When you enter a physical space, the very atmosphere seems to bend to accommodate you. Something palpably shifts. The flow of conversation slows, and eyes are instinctively drawn to your direction. This response is not due to your clothing or superficial appearance, but because your inherent energy arrived first, silently claiming the space as though it were its natural, rightful dominion. This phenomenon is what occurs when the greater universe begins to align its frequency with your own personal one. There's no dramatic announcement or external indicator, just a quiet, invisible force that travels with you, acting like a gentle yet profound gravitational pull. It is a pull that others are incapable of rationalizing, yet they find it utterly impossible to disregard. You have become a living paradox, simultaneously serene yet commanding, quiet yet profoundly memorable. You are not actively trying to be noticeable. You simply no longer possess the capacity to blend into the background. The people surrounding you might attempt to replicate or imitate this powerful energy, but their efforts are always in vain. They may successfully copy your external style, your manner of speaking, or even your chosen paths, but they cannot replicate your unique vibrational signature. The essence you carry is not superficial. It is an encoded matrix of your deepest self. It represents the cumulative heavy weight of every trial you refuse to be broken by, and the undeniable radiance of every personal scar that has been transformed into a source of power. This is the reason your silence now possesses more inherent authority than their most aggressive verbal volley. You do not need to be loud, because your sheer presence articulates volumes, and the central message it conveys is simple and unyielding. I possess a fundamental understanding of who I am, and I refuse to shrink my spirit to accommodate the emotional comfort zones of others. This is the core reason people find themselves staring longer than they intended, why your calm demeanor makes the unsettled feel uneasy, and why they resort to whispering when you move past them. Your aura has the power to disquiet those who are still hiding behind their emotional masks, because yours is transparently and unapologetically genuine. In a world saturated with digital filters and calculated artificial smiles, you stand as the one person who shows up entirely raw and authentic. For those who lack the courage to live without pretense, this level of truth is genuinely terrifying. But here is the more intricate truth. This compelling, magnetic energy was not easily acquired. It was deliberately forged in long periods of silence, in absolute solitude, during personal moments that no one else ever witnessed. This is why it remains impossible to copy, and why it continues to haunt the memories of those who once dismissed your potential. You have moved beyond the need to be simply noticed. You have become someone who must be felt. This represents a fundamentally different and higher level of power, one that is not mere charisma, but true spiritual alignment. So, when others look at you with confusion, when they start to circulate gossip, or when they declare that you have fundamentally changed, they are correct in their assessment. You have become untouchable. This is not because you consciously try to be superior to anyone else, but because you finally made the sacred choice to stop voluntarily dimming your own essential fire. This is not just attraction, it is spiritual gravity. And you must trust this. The deeper you commit to your inherent truth, the more utterly unstoppable that gravitational energy becomes. They will struggle to find a precise label for it, but they will never, ever forget the profound way it made them feel in your presence. Authenticity, the commitment to being your true self, is your most formidable and ultimate power. While the world is busying itself with the superficial game of borrowing and trying on various personas, you, the chosen one, are engaging in a far more disruptive act. You are simply showing up as you are. This is precisely why their gaze is fixed upon you. It is not because you are loud, or because you are consciously striving for distinction, but because in a society that is fundamentally obsessed with filters and meticulously constructed public facades, you are walking around completely unfiltered, and this shakes people to their very core. True authenticity does not need to shout. It commands attention without ever having to request it. The difficult truth is that the majority of people have no concrete idea of who they are when they are stripped of the continuous stream of external opinions that dictate their identity. But you have reached a place where you no longer require that external permission. This profound self-sufficiency is what makes you entirely unforgettable. While countless others are losing their distinct essence in a desperate struggle to conform, you are exponentially increasing your magnetism by the courageous act of standing alone. There exists a singular quality about an individual who completely refuses to participate in the endless chase for fleeting trends, a quiet, powerful boldness that inevitably triggers a complex mix of intense curiosity, genuine admiration, and, inevitably, deep-seated envy. You are not performing an audition for anyone's approval. You are not contorting your personality to satisfy the shifting demands of any cultural or social algorithm. You are a solid, deeply grounded entity, and the external world doesn't know how to interact with someone they cannot effectively manipulate or mold. The whispers behind your back are attempts to solve a riddle. They are trying desperately to decode why you manage to stand out so effortlessly without ever appearing to try. What they fundamentally fail to grasp is this simple fact: genuine realness is an extreme rarity, and in the end, it is always the quality that prevails. Your attraction is not merely based on superficial aesthetics. You are magnetic because you represent a quality that is rapidly disappearing from modern life: truth. Your inherent energy is liberating. Without uttering a single word, you are offering others the silent, powerful permission to be genuinely real too. This is the reason they are so inexorably drawn to your presence, even if they cannot intellectually process the underlying why. This is not an act of social rebellion. It is a profound internal alignment. It is not an effort to be deliberately different. It is the commitment to being real in an era where everyone else is engaged in a ceaseless performance. And the greatest irony of all is this: by intentionally not caring about whether or not you are noticed, you have become absolutely unforgettable. Let them dedicate their finite energy to chasing fleeting trends. Let them exhaust themselves in the relentless pursuit of approval. You have already achieved the ultimate victory simply by daring to be your truest self in a world paralyzed by its fear of authenticity. That is the fundamental power they will never successfully imitate, and the powerful magnetism they will never be able to fully resist. There is something eerily precise about your innate knowing. You don't require verbose explanations or descriptive words. A room can be completely silent, yet you will still register every single truth they are too afraid to articulate. This is not arbitrary luck, nor is it mere coincidence. It is the unseen, profound intelligence that the universe has deliberately wired into your being, and it is a quality that unnerves people. Chosen individuals do not have to guess at emotions. They possess the capacity to read the energetic layer that exists beneath the surface of all human interaction. You can look a person directly in the eye and intuitively feel the quiet storm they are carefully concealing. You are able to register what remains unsaid. You notice the subtle tremor in their calculated silence, the deep, underlying exhaustion that hides behind their practiced smile, the inherent insecurity that they attempt to camouflage with a brittle arrogance. Others simply cannot understand how you possess this ability. They only know that when you are physically present, they feel seen in a way that is utterly unprecedented. They feel exposed yet paradoxically safe, intensely vulnerable yet subtly comforted. This is the central reason why complete strangers often share their intimate lives with you, and why even your explicit detractors feel disarmed when they are in your orbit. What they fail to realize is this: your intuition is not just a personal gift, it functions as a powerful mirror. The majority of people are fundamentally unprepared to confront the stark reality of their own reflection. But you possess no fear of emotional depth. You move directly into the complex emotions that others are desperately trying to avoid. And the very moment someone attempts to put on an emotional mask in your presence, something in your commanding energy gently but firmly strips it right off. They cannot explain why they suddenly find themselves talking so openly, why they are admitting things they have never verbalized to anyone else. But you understand the dynamic perfectly. That is your inherent power. You are never designed to participate in superficial, surface-level exchanges. Your entire energetic frequency is finely tuned to perceive the profound truths that are consistently buried underneath. And this is precisely why people feel a magnetic pull to constantly return to your presence. They deeply crave the intense feeling of being fundamentally understood, even if that feeling sometimes leaves them profoundly unsettled. What makes your heightened intuition a genuine threat to those with ill intent is this: you can see what they are actively trying to conceal, but you make the conscious choice not to weaponize it. You do not manipulate. You do not pass judgment. You simply understand, and that understanding, existing purely on its own, can make people feel more utterly exposed than any aggressive confrontation ever could. They cannot verbally articulate what this feeling is, but it remains a persistent echo within them. The feeling of being understood without the burdensome need to offer any explanation whatsoever. That is your quiet, profound superpower, and it is a core component of what is making you more attractive and compelling than ever before. There is a new, subtle quality about you now that compels people to pause before they approach. It is a profound, energetic shift they cannot precisely name, but they sense it immediately like a palpable, silent wall that was simply not there before. And crucially, you didn't have to utter a single word. You didn't need to. That is the potent, quiet power of a chosen one who has finally recognized and anchored their intrinsic self-worth. Your boundaries are not outwardly displayed as warning signs. They are intrinsically felt, registering like an undeniable shift in temperature. People now enter your energetic space and immediately, intuitively sense what is acceptable behavior and what is absolutely not. It is a unique, unspoken form of command. Not the aggressive kind that is loud or boasts of strength, but the kind that is deeply rooted in your immovable stillness and leaves absolutely no mental room for any form of disrespect. You are no longer engaging in the pursuit of external validation. You no longer plead for others to understand your journey. Your mere presence naturally delineates a clear, non-negotiable line. And suddenly, the individuals who once habitually tested your limits now approach you with palpable caution. This is the inevitable consequence of no longer offering detailed explanations of yourself to people who fundamentally never deserved full, intimate access in the first place. You have become too profoundly grounded to be easily shaken, too crystal clear in your purpose to be easily manipulated. And here is the potent irony. They label you as cold, distant, or changed, completely failing to realize that their strong reaction is to the very boundary they never imagined you would successfully build. A boundary that brilliantly exposes the limits of their old, assumed control over you. But allow them their whispers, let them indulge their curiosity, because every chosen soul eventually internalizes this truth. The most profound and effective power operates in absolute silence. You have no need to raise your voice when the innate frequency of your energy already does the talking for you, and the message it delivers is simple. You do not possess the power to move me. This unwavering, quiet strength is profoundly unsettling to those whose lives rely on external chaos and drama. They cannot logically argue against it. They cannot deploy guilt as a weapon against it. They cannot find a way to manipulate it. Consequently, they are compelled to do the only thing that remains: they retreat. They retreat not because you physically force them out, but because your sovereign energy no longer creates a hospitable environment for the low vibration tolerance it once permitted. You have become a fortress, not unyielding or hard, but deeply sacred. And this is precisely why your inherent attractiveness multiplies exponentially. People are instinctively drawn to the mystery, the deep-seated power, and the unshakable tranquility that you effortlessly embody. Your silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a meticulously calculated strategy. Your calm demeanor is not passive. It is a form of controlled internal fire. The profound truth is that the more consistently you enforce these boundaries without relying on words, the more efficiently the universe clears your pathway for the individuals who are genuinely meant to be in your presence. Let them feel the distance. Let them be forced to respect the silence. That is the radiant glow they can never successfully imitate, and the hard-earned respect they can never steal. There is a clear, undeniable reason why they cannot stop staring. You haven't undergone surgical procedures. You haven't completely revamped your attire. You haven't enlisted the services of an expensive stylist. And yet, there is something about you now that is unshakably, unmistakably different. Your eyes carry an expanded depth. Your physical posture communicates a narrative without the need for words. Your very presence moves with the quiet authority of something ancient that has reawakened within your core. This is the fundamental truth about chosen ones. The transformation you've undergone is not merely cosmetic. It is profoundly cosmic. You didn't merely glow up in the superficial sense. You underwent a deep, systemic process of growth, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And the powerful light that is now visible to them is entirely originating from within. It is the unmistakable shine of sheer resilience, the electric spark of sustained survival, the kind of compelling beauty that is not sourced from products, but from pain that ultimately refused to destroy you. You have executed this essential evolution in silence, and now your commanding aura routinely precedes you into any room you enter. Your skin exudes a tranquil peace. Your eyes communicate the wisdom of countless storms you have successfully navigated. Your physical movements are fluid and naturally graceful, not forced or rehearsed. You are not attempting to be graceful. You are the embodiment of grace reborn through sheer grit and tenacity. This is the reason why they struggle to fully understand you. They will state that you look different, but what they are truly sensing, on a deeper level, is raw, undeniable power. And here is the powerful irony. While their focus was entirely consumed with tearing you down, mocking your efforts, and casting doubt on your future, you were silently, slowly, and unapologetically transforming yourself in the background. You realized that you did not require revenge. What you truly needed was internal alignment, and now that you have achieved it, you have become a living mirror. Your mere presence effortlessly reflects back their own deep-seated insecurities, their brittle, fake confidence, and their desperate need for constant external validation. You don't even have to try. Yet, people consistently feel exposed when they are immersed in your energetic field. That is the true hidden mystery. You did not chase beauty as a goal. You intensely pursued wholeness. And the resulting attraction is entirely unfiltered, the kind that cannot be packaged, purchased, or superficially borrowed. It is the kind of power that stays with them. You may not even consciously register this dramatic shift because you are no longer viewing yourself through the distorting lens of your ego. You are simply engaging in the essential processes of living, healing, and rising. But everyone else around you sees it, and they are perpetually consumed with wondering about the exact nature of the transformation that occurred. Here is the final, definitive truth. Nothing simply happened to you. You became. And now you stand as the living, walking proof that when the universe singles out an individual, that choice is visible on their face, radiated through their energy, and reflected in the way they carry themselves, as if they have already successfully won a war that no one else even knew they were fighting. They cannot articulate how simply being in your immediate proximity makes them feel fundamentally different, lighter, more secure, and paradoxically safer. This confounds them because you rarely say much, yet they feel comprehensively seen in ways they have never before experienced. This, chosen one, is your most powerful asset. You don't merely listen, you possess the capacity to absorb the emotional atmosphere. You don't immediately react, you consciously tune in to the deeper frequency. While the entire world is aggressively rushing to speak, you have achieved mastery over the rare and sacred art of true presence, the unwavering way you maintain eye contact, the manner in which your silence actively invites their deepest truth. It is unsettling and profoundly healing all at once. This is because you are not just hearing the words people say, you are feeling them, including the intimate, hidden parts they try hardest to keep shielded. You operate on an emotional frequency that the majority of people simply cannot access. And this quality is precisely what makes you dangerously effective against the deceitful and magnetically attractive to the genuinely broken. Your empathy is not a calculated performance. It is not something you rehearse or calculate. It is raw, unadulterated reality, and in a world oversaturated with emotional masks, that level of innate sincerity is perceived as a potent threat. People consistently open up to you without understanding why. Strangers share confessions they have never dared to voice aloud. Friends willingly drop their meticulous guards and reveal deep-seated wounds they have spent years burying. You function as the mirror they never consciously requested, but desperately required. You reflect their pain without any judgment, offering only pure, unwavering clarity. Your energy is akin to a steady, dependable fire on a freezing night, quiet, deeply warming, and absolutely unwavering. That is the essence of your attraction, not on a superficial, surface level, but in a soul-penetrating, unforgettable way. They cannot explain why they inherently trust you, why they feel noticeably calmer in your presence. But both of us understand that your empathy is far from ordinary. It is a form of deep, spiritual healing they cannot access through any other means. And here is what they will never openly admit. Your inherent ability to make others feel profoundly safe relentlessly exposes how unsafe they actually feel with every other person in their life. That is the essential twist. While they were consumed with attempts to manipulate, compete, and feign superiority, they completely overlooked your quiet, healing superpower. You possess the rare capacity to understand the very things that most people instinctively run from. And once a person experiences that level of emotional and spiritual clarity, they develop an unshakable craving for its return. That is the reason they are drawn back to you repeatedly. That is the reason you occupy their constant thoughts. Chosen ones do not actively chase validation. They become the sanctuary that people instinctively run to when the world's noise becomes overwhelming, its fakeness too unbearable, and its coldness too profound. Therefore, never, ever underestimate the magnitude of your empathy. It is not a weakness, it is your ultimate edge. It is the very quality that is making you truly unforgettable. Stop competing with others instead. Focus on creations so unique that your lane becomes entirely untouchable. While others are preoccupied with a frantic race against each other for simple visibility, you are in the process of constructing something that no one else can even begin to comprehend yet. This is the core distinction that separates you. You are not here to engage in competition. You are here to intensely create. Competition is a phenomenon that is loud, anxiety-ridden, and perpetually looking sideways, but creation is a deep, quiet, singular power. And chosen individuals carry that silence like a strategic weapon. You are not required to constantly prove your worth because you already are the living proof of the powerful results that occur when a fundamental purpose entirely eclipses mere superficial performance. This is the reason you are consistently becoming more attractive, a concept they struggle to grasp. They remain utterly stuck in circular comparison loops, desperately trying to outstyle, outshine, and out-talk, while you are moving with the stillness of a person guided by a force they cannot comprehend. And indeed you are. You have successfully tapped into a private, unique lane, painstakingly crafted by the totality of your experiences, your powerful resilience, and your clear vision. This is the very quality that makes your energy signature impossible to successfully imitate. Understand this. When you cease attempting to fit into prescribed molds and begin to build from the depths of your own soul, people feel the undeniable difference. It is not a performance. It is pure, untainted expression. And that level of raw, genuine confidence is not something you need to announce from the rooftops. It is something that lingers perceptibly in a room long after you have physically departed. The irony here is profound. By resolutely refusing to participate in the competition, you have ensured your own unforgettable status. While they are frantically chasing temporary applause, you are steadfastly building a legacy. While they perform for transient attention, you are deeply entrenched in your unique zone, forging something infinitely deeper, something enduring, and this realization haunts them deeply. Because every time they attempt to compete directly with you, they are forced to confront the truth. There is no possible finish line when the other person isn't even actively participating in the same race. Your tranquility is a threat to their ego. Your complete detachment is deeply unsettling. Your unwavering discipline brilliantly exposes their underlying desperation. This is why your unique glow resonates so differently. It is not superficial, it is cosmic. You are now the perfect blueprint for quiet, purposeful domination, for purpose that doesn't require performance, for power that has no need for noise. Therefore, continue to create, continue to build, and remain laser-focused on the singular vision that only you can truly perceive, because that sustained, intentional focus is the precise element that is consistently making you more magnetic than ever before. And the more energy they expend trying to understand your formula, the more clearly they will realize that it is impossible to compete with someone who simply isn't playing their game. Do not be shallow. Your profound depth will inevitably compel people to seriously rethink the path of their own lives. There is an inherent quality in your energetic field that can make people physically freeze mid-sentence. You have no need to raise your voice or actively demand any attention. Your mere presence is enough to profoundly disrupt the atmosphere of a space. Chosen individuals carry an intensity that is never loud, but rather echoes profoundly. It never solicits the spotlight, yet somehow it seems to outshine everything in its immediate vicinity. This is not the kind of intensity that is born from anger or an inflated ego. It is the quiet, steady kind, the kind that instinctively causes others to question their own life choices, like standing immediately next to a mirror that has the power to display every single truth they have been actively trying to avoid. Your powerful focus, your absolute stillness, your conscious refusal to be easily distracted by what is meaningless. That quality alone makes people instinctively nervous, because you are not chasing the ephemeral moment. You are the unshakable moment itself. Your eyes communicate profound truths that they are not emotionally prepared to face. Your strategic silence forces a deep, uncomfortable self-reflection. And without any intentional effort on your part, you shine a relentless spotlight on every single thing they have been desperately running from: their profound misuse of time, their network of superficial relationships, their fundamentally empty goals. That is the singular quality of energy that lingers with them. It follows them directly home. It keeps them awake at night, consumed with wondering why their entire life suddenly feels disquieting and off track simply after having been in your vicinity. You did not arrive here with the intention of merely impressing others. You came here with the absolute intention of achieving alignment. And that quiet intensity, that internal fire, is not something they can engage with casually. It profoundly shakes people. It challenges their complacency. It compels them to ask the terrifying question, am I genuinely living a life of purpose? This is why some are irresistibly drawn to admire you, while others instinctively avoid you. But every single one of them feels your impact. They may perceive you as mysterious. They may label you as overly serious. But what they are truly sensing is that you are profoundly connected to a source they do not yet comprehend. You are not caught up in the chase for external approval, social media likes, or the clamor of noise. You are firmly anchored to something unequivocally real, something internal and absolutely unshakable. And that truth is deeply frightening to individuals whose emotional security relies entirely on external validation to feel whole. But here lies the greatest irony. The very people who criticize your intensity are the same ones who secretly wish they possessed it. They openly envy the depth with which you walk, the immense presence you command, the sense of purpose that effortlessly emanates from your silence. You do not preach your path. You do not aggressively push your beliefs. You simply exist, and that single act is potent enough to completely invert a person's entire perspective. That is the reason you are unforgettable, and that is why they will never forget how radically different life felt the moment you walked into their world. Re-engage with your essential nature, or remain eternally lost. Nature is conveying the deep truths that the external world can never teach you. There is a foundational reason why they are unable to articulate the core of your magnetic pull. It isn't your physical appearance. It isn't your personal style. It isn't even the intellectual content of your words. It is something far older, something eternal. Chosen ones move through the world guided by a specific, profound rhythm that the average person has completely forgotten how to perceive. You are not simply wandering through your life. You are operating in perfect sync with forces that the majority of humanity no longer even notices. While others rush through their days, utterly numb from the constant barrage of external noise, you intuitively sense the subtle tug of the wind, the profound silence that exists between every thought, the hidden, meaningful pattern concealed beneath every perceived coincidence. You do not merely exist in a static state, you actively align yourself with the flow of existence. Your entire presence registers like absolute stillness carefully wrapped in an intense, powerful fire. When you enter any room, there is a perceptible pause in the energy, as if the natural world itself held its breath for your arrival. They are at a loss for how to accurately describe this phenomenon, but they undeniably feel it. as though the very essence of the forest is accompanying you, as if time itself bends subtly to allow your passage. They lack the vocabulary to define it, so they resort to calling it weird, intense, or too deep. But the truth is, it is nothing less than divine coordination. You are a conscious participant in something vast and powerful, a connection they severed long ago in their pursuit of superficial thrills and meticulously constructed, artificial lives. You are acutely aware of the cosmic signs, the repeating numerical patterns, the subtle synchronicity, the specific people who appear at the precise moment you needed them, or they needed you, the moments that are too perfectly timed to be dismissed as mere chance. That is not the result of luck. That is the direct result of alignment. That is what materializes when you achieve perfect synchronization with the unseen, profound laws that govern and shape all things. And this quality, it is genuinely frightening to others because your pervasive tranquility forces them to question the chaotic nature of their own existence. Your intrinsic connection compels them to confront their own deep disconnection. Your very presence exposes the uncomfortable truth of how far they have drifted from their core truth, and that stinging realization is difficult to bear. They silently wonder how you manage to remain so perfectly centered, how you possess the ability to see through complex situations they struggle even to articulate. But the reason is simple. You actively listen to the language of nature, to your deep instinct, to the foundational current that flows beneath this aggressively noisy world. You did not consciously choose this connection. It chose you, and now your undeniable glow carries that quiet, sacred wisdom wherever your path leads. That is the unique kind of attractiveness that no one can successfully imitate. It is not a skill that is taught. It is a fundamental truth that is remembered, and they will continue to endlessly wonder about the how of your existence, while you are far too busy flowing seamlessly with the universe to ever stop and explain yourself. Refuse to be broken under pressure. Your profound resilience is the quality that makes you truly untouchable. There is a compelling quality in the manner of your survival that forces people to pause and take notice. They may not know the complete, intricate details of your story, but they can viscerally feel the immense strength you now possess. While countless others crumble under the slightest emotional burden, you have been silently carrying the weight of literal storms, and still move with the grace of someone whom nothing can permanently destroy. Chosen ones are not magically invincible. They are simply fundamentally constructed differently. Life has relentlessly thrown you into the fire more times than you can possibly count. Yet, instead of completely dissolving into ashes, you have transformed yourself into the flame itself. You didn't merely endure the pain, you made the conscious choice to absorb it, to meticulously learn from it, and to forge it into something absolutely unbreakable. This is the precise reason people stare. This is why they cannot stop whispering. There is an undeniable gravity about you now, a quiet, powerful kind of authority that has no need to scream in order to be felt. You move with the confident bearing of someone who has stared directly into the abyss of the worst possible outcomes and still emerged with the unwavering decision to rise above it all. And that profound resilience, that is what makes you so dangerously attractive. They cannot fully grasp it. They struggle to comprehend why an individual who has undoubtedly walked through the fires of hell still radiates such an inner peace. And here is the irony. The very people who once loudly doubted your ability to persevere now instinctively look to you as a source of strength. This is because when chaos descends, you do not flinch or react impulsively. You anchor yourself. While they are consumed by panic, you consciously breathe. While they scatter in confusion, you remain perfectly calm, impeccably collected, and emotionally untouched. That is the sacred kind of energy that people desperately crave, but can never successfully fake. Your true power does not reside in your immediate reaction. It is contained entirely within your absolute control. You do not need to brag about your accomplishments. You do not need to constantly complain about your struggles. You simply allow your ultimate comeback to speak for itself. And that quiet, powerful testament absolutely terrifies those who once prematurely thought you were completely finished. Understand this. Resilience is not about being devoid of all human emotion. It is about the profound refusal to allow yourself to be fundamentally defined by your moments of defeat. You made the decisive choice to allow pain to be your ultimate teacher rather than your lifelong prison. That is why your unique glow resonates differently. That is why your powerful energy feels sacred. You have successfully survived what others did not, and you carry that survival like a unique crown that no one else has rightfully earned. This unshakable spirit relentlessly haunts the memory of those who attempted to destroy you, because they failed. And now, every time they witness you rising higher, becoming stronger and radiating more brilliance, they are vividly reminded that the battle they initiated ultimately became the sacred crucible of your ultimate transformation. You are untouchable, not because you've never been profoundly hurt, but because absolutely nothing has ever proven capable of permanently keeping you down, and that profound strength is an asset that no one can ever steal from you. Stop seeking revenge. Your grace through forgiveness will profoundly confuse and ultimately defeat them. Forgiveness is the very last response they will ever expect from you. They attacked you with intent to harm. They spread lies. They engaged in mockery. They attempted to shatter your spirit in ways that would leave any person permanently entrenched in bitterness. Yet instead of fracturing, you chose an action that sent shockwaves directly through their fragile egos. You consciously let go. This was not an act of weakness, nor was it a sign of amnesia. It was because you grasped a fundamental truth they will never comprehend. Clinging to the poison of resentment only serves to delay your inevitable rise. Forgiveness, when it is consciously wielded, is never submission. It is a definitive strategic declaration. It proclaims that you refuse to be controlled by the pain, the anger, or the corrosive shadow of their negative intentions. When you choose to release the gravity of what they inflicted, you are not excusing their actions. You are fundamentally escaping their control, and that subsequent freedom, that is the quality that haunts their sleep. They desperately wanted you to remain trapped in a cycle of destructive retaliation. They hoped to witness your complete emotional and spiritual spiral. But your categorical refusal to remain a participant in the toxic battlefield they designed has completely turned the tables on a scale they cannot yet grasp. You chose not to fight back because you have spiritually outgrown the entire conflict. And now you radiate an inner light that is sourced from something they will never possess, a deep, profound peace that is utterly untouchable. To them, this is truly terrifying because the act of your forgiveness removes their power entirely. Their past insults no longer carry any emotional echo. Their deep betrayal has been stripped of its sting. Their calculated schemes fall flat and inert. Why? Because you are not simply forgiving, you are actively ascending. And that level of grace is not sourced from superficial pretense. It is sourced from the ultimate mastery of your own spirit. You released the past not because they deserved a moment of peace. You released it because you deserved your permanent freedom. And now they are forced to watch in stunned silence, utterly confused, completely disarmed, and harboring a quiet, potent shame. The very people who held the fervent hope of breaking you are now haunted by the unassailable fact that you are still standing tall, still radiantly glowing, and completely unbothered by their existence. This is the twist they never foresaw, your inherent elegance in the aftermath, your unwavering refusal to engage in their petty games, and the fundamental way yourself. Healing has made you more magnetic than you have ever been. They attempted to smother you with darkness, and in doing so, they inadvertently made your light impossible to ignore. Chosen ones choose forgiveness, not because it is the easy path, but because revenge is too small a concept for the destiny they are actively walking toward. So let them stare, let them wonder about the depth of your character. You have already definitively won the war, and you accomplished it without ever having to throw a single physical or verbal punch. Because when your profound internal peace becomes your ultimate weapon, there is absolutely nothing left for your enemies to successfully destroy. Choose purpose over fleeting popularity. This is the definitive way you achieve true victory without ever having to beg for attention. They expend their entire energy chasing applause. You are intensely focused on achieving fundamental alignment. This is the core reason they will inevitably suffer burnout under the temporary spotlight, while you continue your relentless rise in the profound silence. Chosen ones do not travel the same path as the general populace, and that is precisely why people find themselves unable to stop observing you. While others desperately contort and twist themselves for fleeting likes, external validation, and shallow public praise, you walk with an unshakable stability, your inner vision locked onto something vastly greater. Your pursuit is not fame, it is not surface recognition, it is raw, pure purpose. That quiet, undeniable inner force is what moves you forward when absolutely no one is clapping. And it is the same force that sustains your efforts when no one else understands the solitary nature of your path. They do not grasp this concept, and crucially, they are not meant to, because your entire journey is not designed to be judged by their approval. It is built upon something infinitely deeper and more significant. Your life is unfolding according to a divine blueprint they do not possess the capacity to read. While they are consumed with the anxiety of trying to go viral, you are intensely focused on becoming eternal. And the irony is absolute. The more decisively you disregard the external crowd, the more profoundly magnetic you become. They intuitively feel something fundamentally different in your presence, even if they lack the precise vocabulary to name it. That is the raw, pure power of moving through the world with unyielding intention. It haunts them. Your personal discipline is communicated louder than their most current trends. Your unwavering silence carries a weight that surpasses their most eloquent words. You have no need to publicly announce your evolution. Your tangible results whisper the truth into every room you enter. And in a world that is emotionally intoxicated by the constant craving for attention, your singular focus is deeply intoxicating. Your attraction is not merely based on superficial metrics. You are magnetically compelling because of the way you move, with total clarity, with unwavering conviction, with an intense fire that has no reliance on followers or applause for its sustenance. That level of core energy is extraordinarily rare. It is sacred. It serves as a powerful inspiration for those who are genuinely prepared for growth, and brilliantly exposes the underlying lostness of those who are not. That is why people either feel an intense desire to follow your leadership or a visceral urge to aggressively fight against you. Your simple, unadorned presence forces them to confront the barrenness of their own emptiness. And you simply continue to build, to guide, to rise. Chosen ones never chase the massive crowd. They illuminate the way forward for it, and whether they are willing to admit it or not, your inherent glow is actively waking people up. You have become the living, breathing proof that purpose holds infinitely more power than popularity, that profound inner peace is infinitely louder than public praise, and that when you make the fundamental choice to live in alignment, you don't merely attract attention, you successfully attract fundamental transformation. Continue walking your unique path. They will eventually follow when the external noise finally dies down, and the undeniable, resonant truth becomes too loud to ignore any longer. And now, as these truths begin to coalesce into a comprehensive understanding, always remember this core principle. You were never intended to simply fit in. You were meticulously designed to stand entirely apart. The powerful glow they are struggling to comprehend was never meant for their external explanation. It was placed there for you to entirely embody. The more consistently you walk in the unwavering alignment of your true self, the more magnetic, profoundly mysterious, and ultimately unstoppable you become. That, precisely, is the authentic path of the chosen. If this powerful message resonated deeply within your spirit, do not hesitate to like this video immediately. Subscribe to officially join a rapidly expanding community of chosen souls, and seal your commitment by dropping "I'm ready" into the comments section. Your transformation is not concluding, it is just beginning.